The Last Sunset. This is Space 1999 season 1. This episode is so damn good. We're going to talk about it using my space system. I'm going to give the storyline a big time 2 out of 2. There's this blue machine, this kind of probe, something, I don't know, attaches itself to one of the Eagles. When they land, it actually forms. You see one of those in the actual complex, in the Alpha base, in Moonbase Alpha. And then all these little ones come and they start to make an atmosphere. They're making oxygen. They're producing rain and clouds. As the moon, our moon, is entering the orbit of this other sun, you get the sense that these aliens want to provide everything for the people of Moonbase Alpha, but they don't want them to land on the planet. They don't want them to come as refugees to the planet. They just want them to stay on their own planet, but they'll make it habitable for them. It's actually a brilliant story. It's played out beautifully in this episode. This is a stellar episode. It's not going to get a 10 out of 10. It probably should get a 10 out of 10. It won't, due to the nature of my space system, just due to some of the parts in the artistry, which we're going to talk about. But it's absolutely great. It provides water and food, anything that you need. So soon, there's at one point, Paul, Alan, Sandra, and Dr. Russell go into an Eagle. It crashes. They're separated from the rest of the Moonbase Alpha crew. They can't find them. As they're dying, all of a sudden, water's produced. There's these weird these little growths and some bread. All of a sudden, this is produced out of nowhere. So they're saved. Unfortunately, when Paul eats some of the food, he actually starts to go a little bit crazy. We're going to talk about that in the character section. But yeah, this idea that this atmosphere is being created is so good. I'm going to give the pacing a big time 2 out of 2. I know this one is a slower paced, and of course, Space 1999 is a slower paced show anyways in general, and this one is slow, but I found it very intriguing. What I like about this show is that they get into the technical aspects of how things actually work. It's very easy to say, if you're writing a story or a book or comic or something, and you say, okay, Dr. Russell and her team are missing. Let's send out search parties. So then if you're typing your book out, search parties scoured the moon and could not find, any trace of Helena and her crew or whatever. But it's not like that. Like, they're showing you, there's like a guy sitting there. Like, Kano is like literally sitting there and he's like, okay, Eagle 2, you're boarded, ready for launch. Eagle 4, go to pad C. Eagle 5, ready for launch. Take sector 2. Koenig comes in. Okay, let's divide it into 28 grid pattern. Okay, I can't even wrap my head around it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so awesome. Like, it feels like it's really going on. If we look at Star Wars as being sort of your pure fantasy sci-fi thing where it's just fun and adventure, and then you go to Space 99 would be the exact opposite, where it seems very deliberate. Everyone's got a job to do. They do their job and they hit buttons and they flick switches, and it means something. When Kano flicks this thing, this does something, right? Star Trek is sort of your perfect balance in between, which is why Star Trek was always going to be the best thing, because you have the adventure and the ideas which are present in Star Wars and also in Space 1999, but you also have the really fun, colorful characters. And the action is always moving forward. It's always a little bit quicker, right? So that's sort of your perfect blend of all of this stuff. Star Trek is kind of the best. But Space 1999, I kind of like this dry sort of technical approach. I know some people might find it boring. I don't. I actually find it pretty exciting. The artistry, I'm going to have to give it a 1.5. Look, it's very easy for me to sit here. I could give it a 2. It's probably even really a 1. Everything looks good. There is some shoddy wire where you can see the wires on some of them. So I now know that this has probably not been altered as the Blu-ray, as I wasn't sure, but it is still damn fine looking show, especially for the time, and especially still now. I still think it looks good. I did notice the wires many times on a lot of the Eagles. So I have to give it a little bit of a point reduction for that. Realistically, though, this episode is a 10 out of 10. It's not going to get a 10, but you could give it a 10. The characters are the big thing about this, and it's a big time 2 out of 2. Everyone steps up big time in this episode. Literally everybody. I love Alan and or Paul and Koenig have a little battle at the end where they're like Paul has just gone crazy. Him and Sandra, they kind of love each other. I love their relationship together. It's so good. Dr. Russell is great here, where she's like trying to ration out the food, and she's trying to keep Sandra gets injured and possible concussion, so they got to be careful. And there's a great part where Alan and Paul are being the big men and saying, "Well, let her have our rations, and she can have our water and stuff." And Helena's like, "Listen, it's like you need to keep healthy in order to take care of her. So we can't have more people being sick. It's not really going to help anything, right? So you're doing this big gesture, but it's kind of stupid." That was a great part. As I said, Paul, poor guy, goes just crazy after eating that food. He just becomes like, "Oh, we're going to repopulate the world," and he's just going mad. He has a fight with Alan. He then has a fight with Koenig. He tries to even hurt Dr. Russell, which is crazy. Everybody in this was great, man. Koenig was awesome. I love Victor. Maybe my best character is Victor. Comes over and he's like, "Well, he's like, Victor, I could tell by that phony smile there that you're we're not in orbit, right?" It's like, no, we're not. Great character stuff in this one. And the enjoyment factor is a big time 2 out of 2. I absolutely love this episode. It's a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, you could just call it a 10, really. But through the nature of my review, I have to point out when I see something weird. But man, I love this episode. Space 1999 is awesome, guys. I hope these videos are finding an audience, and even more so finding an audience that doesn't know about Space 1999, and then you trust me enough to watch Space 1999. That would be the ultimate prize. And if I get that from these videos, that's probably even better, because I actually want people to watch this show. It's so good. But that's it, guys. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel, and check out the classic TV show playlist. Thanks for watching.
Hey friends, you've just been listening to J-Man, and he is the smartest person who ever lived. So make sure you like and subscribe.